If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that a little while back, I announced I was talking to investors about my startup AI Box. We ended up getting such a huge influx of people talking to us that we kind of changed our strategy regarding fundraising, and we have a really exciting announcement coming soon. But if you were an investor that had previously reached out to me and jumped on a call, make sure to reach out again. I have some really exciting news to give to you, or if you're an investor today looking to invest in an absolutely groundbreaking AI startup, I'm going to leave my email, jaden@aibox.ai, in the description, and I'll give you the inside scoop. Today on the podcast, we have some massive breaking news out of Adobe, and that is that they have unveiled a new AI-powered thing called Project Stardust, and they're saying that this is going to completely redefine photo editing. So today on the podcast, I'm going to be diving into what exactly Adobe is doing. They have been quite a strong player in this space. Adobe, of course, is a massive tech giant, but it looks like they really are putting some strong focuses on AI, which I think is, obviously a very wise decision in today's environment. So today on the podcast, we dive into everything that they are launching, what the new features hold, and where I see this going in the future. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Welcome to the world's #1 AI podcast, AI Chat. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. Adobe, of course, the global tech giant known for its design and creative software suite, is poised to revolutionize the digital imaging landscape. At least that is what they're telling us. So the company has teased an innovative AI-driven photo editing tool called Project Stardust, and this is set to be unveiled in full at the Adobe Max event, which I believe is happening tomorrow. So I'm just giving you a quick heads up on what to expect. The new quote-unquote object-aware editing engine, which is named Project Stardust, has been the talk of, I think, the tech community after, a promotional video was cited by TechSpot, and it kind of gave a sneak peek into the capabilities. I think what's really intriguing about this tool is its ability to automatically detect and identify objects in photos. So I think this offers users the flexibility to easily maneuver these objects within the frame, kind of mirroring functionality similar to Google's recently announced Magic Editor for its latest Pixel phones. During this demo that they did, the software was super impressive and it identified and highlighted individual objects in a photo. In one instance, it was a yellow suitcase, and it was including its shadow, and it was automatically selected as though it had been really intricately outlined using Photoshop's lasso tool. If you've used Photoshop before, this can be, could take a lot of time to get this right. The subsequent clip showcased the simplicity of moving or even deleting objects without the backdrop, or with the backdrop auto-filling in to pretty much seamlessly match the scene, right? So you have a photo and you're like, okay, delete this chair, delete this TV, and it just automatically fills in what would be there if that object wasn't there, which is really, really cool. And at the same time, you can also grab the objects and move them around. So it's like, love the photo, but I wish that the table was just a little bit to the right. It's like, honestly, it's kind of crazy when you think about it and you think how far we've come with photo editing, because a lot of this, had to be done pre-shot, where you had to have everything set up just perfect. And then, you do your family photos and, oh no, this person's eyes are closed or this person's not looking or whatever. It appears that we're getting to a place where you pretty much just take a rough idea of the image and everything can be edited after by pretty much anyone to a very high level. So this is really, really interesting. A feature to look forward to is something similar to the contextual taskbar that made its debut in Photoshop recently. So this new dynamic taskbar is designed to predict your next design move, thereby expediting essentially the editing process. So one demo highlighted the software's ability by auto-suggesting a quote, remove distractions button when a crowd was selected. So it really efficiently kind of cleared the crowd as soon as you selected it. But I think it's not just about moving objects. Adobe's Project Stardust seemingly integrates the advanced generative AI capabilities seen in their Firefly-powered Photoshop tools, which is really cool. So one of the things that I think was really interesting in this whole promo video involved Aya Filmon, that's Adobe's product manager for digital imaging, interacting with a floating taskbar prompt. Essentially, she selected a portion of an image and then pretty much had it like generate AI-generated flowers inside of that image. Another demonstration, I think, featured the model getting replaced by just describing the desired clothing items. So pretty much there was like a model on the screen wearing something, and you're like, okay, make this model wear like a polo shirt with pink flamingos on it, and boom, it was able to do that, which is super interesting, right? No, you don't need to go and like outline the exact shapes or, it's crazy. This is super, super crazy. So they just have a text input. You start with an image and you just talk to it and tell it what you want. To the point where I think on this, right, you could just say like delete the red suitcase and boom, it's gone. So, and of course, there's like different tools that you can manually do that, especially if you want to like kind of adjust where exactly on the screen the red suitcase is. But you can do a lot of this all from the text input field, which is incredibly interesting and not something we've, really ever seen or had the capabilities of doing before. So very, very powerful. Adobe's teaser visuals of Project Stardust, I think, kind of emphasize the departure from the very tedious manual process, which I personally am very, very familiar with. Growing up, I was like, I think Photoshop was kind of like my software. I tried a bunch of different software growing up. I tried like Dreamweaver for websites, and I never quite got into that. And I really kind of got stuck on Photoshop to the point where I actually think it's probably a flaw, because I know Photoshop really, really well, and a lot of things that probably should be done in like Adobe Illustrator, I still use Photoshop for and just do them in a janky way. So, probably to a fault there, but I know Photoshop very well, and it is definitely very tedious to do certain things on there. I've watched more tutorials on Photoshop than maybe any other software. I don't know. Premiere might give it a run for the money, but in any case, it definitely, I think it's due for an overhaul, and this AI makes a massive difference when it comes to editing photos in there and really like manipulating photos to a very high level, which is very, very interesting. I think instead of separating objects into new layers, users are offered a bit more of a streamlined and intuitive editing experience now with this whole Project Stardust thing. I think the rise of generative AI has definitely spurred the development of these kind of automated design tools across the industry. Adobe's not the only one doing this. Canva now has some, offers similar, like it pretty much has a bunch of similar different editing functions for easy object manipulation in images. To be honest, if you see my podcast covers, all of the ones I do when I have a special guest on and it's like me and the guest on the front cover, and I kind of like cut out the backgrounds, I just do that all in Canva. They got like a one-click background removal. I don't have to select around anything, and it's very, very good. Google Photos Magic Editor, which is, I think it's packaged with Pixel 8 devices, is also, I think, a fairly noteworthy mention in this regard. They do some cool things. However, Aya Filmon suggests that what we've glimpsed of Project Stardust is merely the tip of the iceberg. The teaser features represent just a fraction of the software's full capabilities, according to them. She also goes on to say that this editing engine will, quote, revolutionize how we interact with Adobe products. So that's going to be very interesting. I would be super curious to see how this, impacts like Premiere, for example. Editing video, as that's it can be a very tedious task as well. I think with, while details surrounding this whole Project Stardust are still like, they're trying to keep it under wraps for the big reveal tomorrow. I think the tech community is very interested, definitely anticipating everything that's going to come out. And I think this whole event is going to be very, very interesting to see what the future of AI-assisted photo editing is. Stay tuned, because I'm sure when they drop the announcement tomorrow, I'll also be covering it if they have anything crazy that wasn't kind of just in this video or in this podcast here. But all in all, a very interesting story, and I think Adobe really is doing a great job of leading the way on some of these AI tools, and honestly doing them in a fairly responsible way.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.